Have you ever woken up with a body that feels heavy, a mind clouded, and a sense that the day has already slipped away the moment you opened your eyes? You are neither lazy nor weak. It is simply that you allowed the world outside to seize control before you were truly awake. The first minutes of the morning are like seeds planted in the soil. They shape the entire garden that follows. If you abandon them, weeds will grow. If you plant with care, the whole day will carry a different color. The Stoics believed that the way we begin something determines its direction. And the morning, even just a few minutes, is the beginning of a small life in itself. We often lose this precious chance by rushing into alarms, into messages, into worries that have not yet spoken their names. Yet in truth, we still hold the choice. Through simple, deliberate actions, we can transform those fragile moments into a foundation for clarity, strength, and peace. So what small steps can open the door to a greater day? 1. Awaken the body with nourishment. There is a truth few notice. In the morning, we often treat the body as if it were a machine ready to run, when in fact it has just endured 8 or more hours in a state of dryness and stillness. Life's functions continued quietly as we slept. The heart kept beating, the brain processed memory, the liver filtered toxins, cells repaired, yet all without a single drop of water. By the time we wake, we rise from sleep in a state of dehydration in need of replenishment, but most of us fail to recognize this. Many of us choose coffee as the first thing to touch our stomach. I once did the same, believing only caffeine could pull me out of lethargy. But I came to see it was like forcing an engine to start without oil. It still runs, but the noise and fatigue that follow are no accident. A glass of warm water in the morning may sound trivial, yet it is, in truth, an act of care and respect for oneself. Water does more than quench thirst. It awakens every inner system, opens vessels, stirs circulation, and allows blood to flow more smoothly. Add a slice of lemon, and the body receives a small gift of vitamin C and minerals, like a gentle pat for the immune system to begin the day. In that moment, the body is reminded, I honor you. I want to walk with you, not force you. From there, the day begins not in haste, but in harmony. Why room temperature water and not cold? Because when we first wake, the circulatory system is still tender and sensitive, like a stream just opened. Cold water brings sudden contraction, forcing the body into defense. Warm or room temperature water, by contrast, is like a gentle embrace, loosening what is tight and preparing all to run smoothly. It is not merely about sensation, it is a way of signaling that we understand and respect the body's natural rhythm. The Stoics spoke often of living in harmony with nature, without forcing, without rushing. This small act is one expression of that principle. I remember once on a long work trip, a crowded schedule broke this habit for several days. Instead of water, I jumped into work with cup after cup of coffee. The result was heaviness in the body, a scattered mind, and a short fuse for the smallest things. Realizing this, I returned to my morning glass of warm water, and the difference was almost immediate. It was not just physical, it was the sense of being centered again, reminded that I could choose a different beginning. The Stoics held a simple conviction. What is small and repeated shapes our character and our destiny. A morning glass of warm water does not make us perfect, but it sends a clear signal. We choose nourishment before stimulation, clarity before chaos. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself each morning, it is a privilege to still be alive. For me, holding that glass of water is the same reminder, a simple yet profound privilege. Some may ask, Can one glass of water really change anything? The answer is yes, if we treat it as a ritual and not an unconscious reflex. Just as striking 3 bells before a ceremony or placing a hand on the heart in an oath, it is the moment itself that shifts the mind. Drinking water becomes my way of opening a dialogue with myself. I will enter the day with respect, not with haste. I will listen to my body's needs instead of driving it by force. Interestingly, modern psychology also speaks often of rituals, small acts that shape the brain's state. When an action is repeated in the same context, the brain reads it as a signal to shift into a new mode. For me, the morning glass of water is that signal. It restores the body and opens the doorway to alertness, a transition from night into day. If skipped, I easily slide into reactive habits, grabbing the phone, drowning in news, losing my agency. But with the ritual intact, I have a foundation to receive the day's demands with greater clarity. One point must be stressed. Nourishment here is not only about water for the body, but about tending to our relationship with ourselves. By choosing a conscious beginning, we declare that we are worthy of care. That feeling, that sense of worth, spreads into every other decision of the day. By drinking water instead of rushing for the phone, I place myself above impulse. I practice mastery, which the Stoics saw as the heart of virtue. In the modern world, where all rush against time, a glass of warm water may seem too small. Yet this very smallness is the first exercise of the day in declaring, I am not dragged along, I choose my direction. A small act, but filled with great philosophy. Seneca once warned, we are not short of time, but we squander it. Rather than waste those first minutes in disorder, we can give them to an act both simple and rich in meaning. This image calls to mind rowers on a river. Before they set out, they do not strike the oar at once, but let the boat drift for a moment, sensing the current before beginning. The morning glass of water is that quiet pause. It allows us to sense our body, the flow within, before sailing into the turbulent day. And as a boat that begins in rhythm travels farther with ease, so too will our body and mind be steadier if they begin with nourishment. To awaken the body with nourishment is not a health tip, but a way of life. It reminds us that freedom is not granted from outside, but born of mastery within. It teaches that discipline need not be harsh. It can be as gentle as a glass of warm water. Most of all, it affirms that we can always choose a new beginning each day. With this understanding, we no longer dismiss those first moments after waking, for they are the very ground on which a life of clarity and self-command is built. 2. Awaken circulation with brief movement. After nourishing the body with a glass of warm water, the next natural step is to awaken circulation. Your body has lain still for many hours, blood flow slowed, joints and muscles stiffened, and the mind still wrapped in the fog of sleep. If you leap up now, rush out the door, or collapse into work, it is no different than forcing an instrument to play while its strings remain loose and untuned. Sound may emerge, but the strain and discord will follow you throughout the day. That is why just one short minute of simple movements can tune the body again, bringing balance and alertness. Picture the morning as opening a house long shut. You would not rush into the kitchen to cook or hold a gathering in rooms still thick with dust. You would open the windows, let light and fresh air flow in, allow the house to breathe. A brief morning movement is that open window for the body, letting air and blood surge through every corner. Small gestures that seem insignificant are in fact the body's welcome back into wakefulness. The beauty is, you need no tools or special space. You need not run the block, nor step into a gym. Simply stand beside your bed, plant your feet firmly on the floor, and feel the ground holding your weight. Take a deep breath, raise your arms high, open your chest as if pulling away the final curtain of night. Lower your arms, roll your shoulders slowly back, then forward, releasing what tension rests there. Turn your neck gently, tilt your head side to side to free the strain your neck has carried through the night. Finally, rise onto your toes, balance on them, and lower again slowly about 10 times, feeling your legs grow steady and strong. When I first practiced this habit, I was struck by the difference. Before, I often felt dizzy, unsteady when standing too quickly. I thought it was age or lack of sleep. In truth, my body simply had not been awakened properly. After a few weeks of committing to this 1-minute ritual, the heaviness vanished, replaced with clarity and balance from the very first steps. It was as if I had switched on the light before entering the room. Science confirms that even 60 seconds of light morning movement can improve circulation, deliver oxygen to the brain, and sharpen focus and mood. Yet what matters most is the intention. When you give a minute to listen to your body, to tell it, "We are ready," you send the message that you will not be pulled by the world's haste. You will begin on your own rhythm. The Stoics believed each beginning holds shaping power, and the way you move first in the day imprints itself on your spirit. Consider this. If you start the morning sluggish, dragging each step from bed, your body carries that state into work, into conversations, into choices. But if you begin with conscious movement, you plant readiness and clarity in your mind. That is why I call these motions signals, not exercises. No sweat required, no racing heart. Only a clear message to the body. I am awake, I am present, and I am ready for this day. Stoic philosophy teaches, the mind is dyed by the thoughts it cultivates. We may extend this truth to the body. It takes on the rhythm of its first movements. If the rhythm is hurried and chaotic, balance is hard to reclaim. If the rhythm is slow and deliberate, the body reflects that stillness throughout the day. I recall once, tense before an important meeting, I paused to repeat this brief sequence for just a minute. Strangely, the anxiety softened with each breath, and when I entered the room, I felt more steady. From that moment, I saw this not only as a morning habit, but as a reset button whenever the mind grows turbulent. A single minute of movement can bridge chaos and calm. In today's world, many assume real change demands a grand plan, hours of training, strict discipline. In truth, it is the small, repeated acts that build the strongest foundation. A 1-minute movement will not make you an athlete, but it will awaken circulation, clear the mind, and let you step into the day with intention. The Stoics reminded us, begin at once to live, and count each day as a life. A new life, if measured from the moment of waking, deserves such deliberate preparation. You need not make it elaborate, only consistent. Today, 1 minute, tomorrow, 1 minute, and soon the difference will be visible. Your posture will improve, your energy steady, your reactions under pressure calmer. Above all, you will master the way you begin, no longer dragged by haste. In this, self-respect and self-command, the essence of Stoicism are formed and strengthened. So after that first glass of water, do not dive into work or news. Give a single minute to roll your shoulders, breathe deep, rise on your toes, tilt your neck, expand your chest. It is not just physical, it is your declaration that you will guide the flow of this day. 1 minute may be small in schedule, yet vast in shaping the mind. And as you walk forward steady and clear, you will see the power to master the whole day was decided in that fleeting moment beside your bed. 3. Nourish strength early. After awakening the body with water and stirring circulation with brief movement, you will find that you have opened the first door to a new day. But there is a truth few notice. After a long night, your body remains in a fasted state. The brain, the muscles, every inner system needs fuel. If you do not provide it, the body will draw energy from what it already has, most often from your muscles. This is the process of muscle breakdown, silent yet persistent, stealing strength without you realizing it. This is why nourishing strength early in the day is a step that must not be neglected. There was a time when I believed breakfast unimportant. I hurried to work, often with nothing more than a coffee or a pastry. I thought I was saving time. Yet hours later, I felt fatigued, unfocused, reaching for sugary snacks to fight the slump. That cycle made my energy wane and fall like a candle flickering in the wind. Only when I added a little protein in the morning did I notice the profound difference. No more constant hunger, sharper focus, and most of all, a body that felt strong and enduring throughout the day. Protein is the foundation of life. It builds and preserves muscle, supports the immune system, and repairs the body after stress. When you give your body protein in the morning, you send a clear message. Protect what I have and prepare for what is to come. You do not need a lavish meal. A few boiled eggs, a spoon of Greek yogurt with nuts, or a simple protein shake is enough to become a foundation for lasting strength. Do not underestimate simplicity, for as the Stoics often taught, it is simplicity and repetition that forge endurance. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that life is built action by action, like bricks laid into a wall. Feeding the body protein early is one such brick. Skip it once, perhaps nothing happens. But neglect it repeatedly, and you build a fragile wall, easily shaken by age and illness. Add it daily, and you quietly construct a foundation that guards your independence and freedom in later years. Strength here is not about looking better in the mirror or sculpting muscles for display. It is the ability to carry groceries without gasping for air, the confidence to climb stairs without trembling legs, the joy of playing with grandchildren rather than watching from a distance. This is freedom, the most precious thing to the Stoics. Epictetus taught that no one can strip you of your inner freedom, but if you neglect the body, you strip yourself of your outer freedom. And when independence in small tasks is lost, life itself contracts, choices vanish, and the horizon narrows. I once watched an older friend struggle to lift a bag that was not heavy, pausing again and again to rest. He laughed and said, "I'm old now, weaker." But in his eyes flickered a sadness he could not hide. It reminded me that weakness does not come in a day, but in thousands of mornings when we neglect to nourish our bodies properly. From that moment, I promised myself I would not let idleness steal my strength piece by piece. Modern science has shown that after 30, the body begins to lose 3 to 5% of its muscle mass each decade if left unchecked. After 60, the decline accelerates and mobility fades. It may seem like destiny, but it is only the fate of those who abandon themselves. By choosing early nourishment, you can delay this process, even preserve strength for decades. The Stoics emphasized that though we cannot control everything, we always control our choices. What you eat in the morning is one of the clearest proofs of this. You may choose a pastry that offers fleeting pleasure but drains your energy, or you may choose simple protein that keeps you steady all day. That choice, small as it is is the practice of self-command, the root of Stoic virtue. Seneca wrote that what robs us is not the shortness of life, but the waste of what we have. If you let your body consume its own muscle, you are wasting strength that could have been preserved. A spoon of yogurt, an egg, or a protein shake may seem small, yet it is your way of saying, I value this strength. I will not let it fade in silence. The habit of early nourishment also carries psychological weight. Choosing protein over sugar reduces cravings and tempers impulsive hunger. When blood sugar stays steady, the mind is less restless, more focused. Stability in the body allows calm in the mind, granting the ability to meet pressure with composure rather than agitation. A body properly nourished becomes the ground for a steady mind, and the mind, in turn, strengthens the body. Imagine the morning as a savings account. Each time you eat protein early, you deposit a small sum for the future. Each time you skip, you withdraw without knowing. One day, when you need it most, you may find the account empty. But steady deposits build a reserve strong enough to face the unexpected. This is not luxury, but wise preparation. Carl Jung once said that life's greatest privilege is to become who you are. And to become yourself, you need a body strong enough to carry what matters to you. A clear mind cannot fully thrive if the body is too weak to follow. Thus, nourishing strength early is not just about food, it is the foundation for living a self-directed, full, and worthy life. When you stand before the choice each morning, remember it is not merely about eating or not eating. It is a declaration. A declaration that you will not let time and neglect quietly erode your freedom. A declaration that you choose strength over weakness, preparation over surrender, and a declaration that you honor the body that has carried you this far. Translate the following Vietnamese text into English with precision, maintaining the exact number of sentences without adding or removing any content. Ensure that the translation aligns with Stoic philosophy, using a concise, philosophical, and impactful tone suited for an American audience. The depth and wisdom of Stoic teachings, inspired by thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, should be preserved. The translation must be natural, engaging, and resonate with modern Stoic practitioners while ensuring originality and avoiding direct duplication of existing content. 4. Keep the joints flexible. Keep your freedom after nourishing the body with water, awakening circulation with brief movement, and adding strength with protein. The next step we often neglect is the foundation: joint flexibility. Few notice that during sleep, when the body remains still for hours, the fluid that lubricates the joints begins to thicken, like oil in a machine left idle. Upon waking, if you rush into the day without preparation, the joints absorb sudden strain, leading to stiffness, aches, and in the long run, the loss of the freedom of movement that is one of life's greatest gifts. I once saw an older relative who needed a cane, not because of serious illness, but because his knees and hips had grown too stiff after years of little movement. He told me the hardest part was not the pain, but the sense of being limited, unable to bend to tie his shoes, unable to run after a grandchild in the yard, unable to stroll long in the park. In his eyes I saw disappointment, and I realized, when we lose flexibility, we lose freedom. It is not just the aging of the body, it is the shrinking of life. The Stoics often stress that the body is the tool through which we act in the world. And to live fully, we must keep that tool in its best condition. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The obstacle did the way." But it would be senseless to create obstacles for ourselves that could have been prevented. Stiffness is not fate, but the result of neglect repeated over years. And the truth is, just a few minutes each morning can slow this process, even preserve smoothness and suppleness longer than you expect. Picture your knees, ankles, shoulders, or spine as door hinges. A door left unopened too long squeaks, rusts, resists movement, but open it daily, turn it, keep it in use, and it works smoothly for years. Your joints are no different. Just 90 seconds each morning, rotating ankles, knees, gently twisting the spine, rolling shoulders, bending the torso, and breathing deeply is how you oil your system, keeping the door of freedom wide open. When I practiced this habit, I noticed change within weeks. The small cracking in my knees when rising from a chair faded. The shoulder tightness from long hours at a desk eased. More importantly, I no longer feared that a sudden movement might bring pain or injury. I felt in command of my body, not restricted by it. That gave a quiet confidence that I could walk, run, and live actively without caution. Another way to see it, flexibility is the ticket to independence. In youth, bending to pick up something, twisting to reach behind, or stepping downstairs feels trivial. But as stiffness sets in, these small acts become obstacles, forcing reliance on others. Freedom shrinks not because you lack will, but because the body no longer permits. That is the cost of ignoring those few minutes each morning. Seneca said, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." Keeping joints flexible is silent preparation for the opportunities of the future. The chance to travel in later years, the chance to play with grandchildren without fear, the chance to save a life without leaning on a cane or chair. These do not arrive by chance, they are born of persistence in simple acts, while you still have the power to choose. The beauty is that flexibility needs no intense training or elaborate tools. You do not need advanced yoga poses or long workouts. Only simple motions. Rotate each ankle 10 times. Circle the knees. Twist the torso left and right. Bend to the sides. Roll the shoulders forward and back with deep breathing. Each movement is a message to the body. I care for you. I will not push you into the day unprepared. Carl Jung said, "We cannot change anything until we accept it." To accept that the body will change with age is wisdom. To surrender and let it decay is resignation. We cannot avoid aging, but we can prepare for it to arrive with serenity rather than bondage. That preparation begins with habits as small as these. Face the reality. Just 90 seconds each morning can decide how you move 10 or 20 years from now. Skip it, and stiffness will quietly build until it is too late to reverse. Keep it, and each day adds insurance for the future. The difference lies not in today, but in the accumulation of days. That is the philosophy of repetition recognized by both science and philosophy alike. Aristotle once said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. If you want flexibility and freedom of movement, it will not come from a single intense session, but from steady daily practice. A little patience, a little discipline, and excellence will become part of you. When you put it all together, water for the body, movement for circulation, protein for strength, and flexibility for the joints, you are not merely caring for your body, but honoring your life. For freedom is not only in thought or choice, but in the ability to move, to act, to join fully in ordinary moments. The Stoics reminded us that the highest freedom is to live in accordance with nature. Nature designed the body for movement. When we honor that movement, we live aligned with our essence, and in that, we live free. 5. Illuminate the mind before the world fills it. After drinking water to awaken the body, stirring circulation with brief movement, nourishing strength with protein, and softening the joints to preserve freedom, there remains one last step, just as vital yet most often overlooked: the step for the mind. For you may have a body that is strong, supple, and filled with energy, but if the mind begins the day in disorder, the entire day may collapse into confusion. Sadly, this is how most of us begin each morning. I have often fallen into this habit. The moment my eyes opened, my hand reached for the phone. The blue glow of the screen was like a cold wave rushing into still drowsy eyes, flooding me with information, unanswered messages, unfinished tasks, dramatic headlines, curated lives on social media. In seconds, my mind was torn from the stillness of dawn and hurled into a torrent of chaos. I had not even taken a breath, not even recognized where I was before I was dragged into distraction and worry. And I know I am not alone. This is the routine of millions in the modern world. But what if we chose differently? What if instead of surrendering the morning to the world, we reserve the first few minutes to light up the mind? The Stoics believe the mind is the foundation of freedom. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, the power lies in mastering the mind, not in external events. When we let the world enter too early, we hand over control to forces beyond us. But if we give the first minutes to inner reflection, we keep agency, and that alone shapes the rest of the day. The simplest way to do this is to sit in silence for a minute, close your eyes, and retrace the path of yesterday. Begin with the last moment before sleep, the lights fading, the sounds in the room, the feeling of the bed. Then work backward. Dinner, the last conversation, the evening sky, the tasks completed, the small joys or passing annoyances. Continue until you return to the morning of yesterday. This exercise may seem unusual, but it is training in presence. It forces you to notice the fragments of life that otherwise slip past unnoticed. I have found myself recalling details I never realized. The bird's song outside the window, the kind face of a cashier, the way sunlight filtered through leaves. These memories did not change my life, yet they reminded me that I had lived more fully than I thought. By recognizing each moment, my mind grew clearer, no longer drifting in vagueness. This is what the Stoics called living with awareness. Modern science calls it building cognitive reserve, the brain's capacity to adapt and resist decline with age. Like exercise for the muscles, this morning recollection is exercise for the mind, making it resilient and supple with time. It not only benefits the future but acts immediately. You begin the day with clarity, with the power to choose instead of reacting blindly. The Stoics saw this as mental armor, like a soldier preparing his gear before battle. Epictetus taught that before stepping into life, ensure your mind is prepared. Otherwise, you will be easily conquered by circumstance. A mind illuminated each morning is like invisible armor. It cannot prevent the world from striking, but it allows you to meet all things steady and unshaken. Some may ask, can 1 minute of silence change anything? I can answer from experience. At first, resistance stirred in me. I grew restless, eager to check the phone, eager to work, eager to rush back into the familiar rhythm. Yet I forced myself to sit, breathe, and trace the memories. After a week, I noticed my mind scattered less. My focus grew sharper, my reactions calmer when confronted with surprise. That 1 minute, so small, proved to be medicine for the whole day. Seneca reminded us, as long as you live, keep learning how to live. Each morning spent looking back at yesterday is such a lesson. We learn from our own experiences what gave energy, what drained it, what was worth holding, what was worth letting go. Thus, we enter the new day with sharper clarity and direction. Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens." A minute of morning silence is this act of looking inward, not for blame or regret, but for recognition of the self. When you see clearly where you have been, the path ahead becomes clear. And when you open your eyes, the world no longer floods in unfiltered, you are ready to choose what enters. This habit carries great meaning in our age of technology. When every device is designed to capture attention, giving 1 minute to silence is an act of quiet defiance. It is your way of telling the world, my mind belongs to me, not to any platform. That 1 minute is more than memory training, it is reclaiming ownership of your own mind. What changed my view of the morning was realizing that the way I wake up reflects the way I live. I used to open my eyes and immediately rush out of bed, letting messages, emails, and work flood in without preparation. Every day began like a race, and by the end I was exhausted, quick to anger, unable to focus, and drained of energy for what truly mattered. When I began to change, adding small steps like drinking water, moving the body, eating protein, stretching the joints, and sitting in silence to reflect on the mind, I was surprised by the difference. I felt steadier, calmer, and less easily swept away by the outside world. Most importantly, I realized I had the power to choose how to begin the day rather than letting old habits decide. That was the moment I understood the Stoic spirit more deeply. Freedom is not distant, it is in mastering the small things already within our reach. If you found these reflections helpful, please like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss the next content. Remember that every sunrise is a reminder you still have the chance to live, to choose, and to make each day a testimony of your freedom and self-mastery. See you in the next video.